Welcome to the football show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Tam Cowan, Alan Ruff are here with me, and hopefully you can hit the subscribe button and join PLZ Soccer's football family. It's uncensored, unbiased and unmatched 5 days a week. We're on 4 o'clock till 5, and you can also watch it at your leisure, not only on YouTube but on the app. If you download the PLZ Soccer app, you'll get all the latest breaking football news as well. There's lots of unique content on the site and on the website as well. So if you want to keep right up to date with football, and there's lots more exciting stuff coming up on PLZ Soccer that I'm sure will not only entertain you, but of course maybe get some of your mates involved in watching the programme as well. We're absolutely delighted, Ruffy and myself and Tam, that the people who are subscribing, the numbers are superb, and certainly the figures for the month of November were absolutely magnificent. So thank you for your support, 100%. And we talk football. It's absolutely free to watch it, so let's get into the meat and bones of it all. We always like to throw you a wee quiz question. Nikki, who's a regular viewer, gave us a question to put out on today's show, but unfortunately Nikki's question was just wide of the mark. Right. The actual question should be, name the only country yet to receive a card at this year's World Cup. There is indeed one club that has not received any cards. So
are we allowed to guess?
Yeah,
having watched in general terms the very, very polite Japanese who tidied up their dressing room, whose manager came out and bowed magnificently to their fans, they don't strike me as a dirty team. So I would say Japan.
Yeah, Ruffy?
I'm going to go Brazil.
Brazil? Okay, interesting stuff. What do you think? Give us your thoughts on that. Name the only country yet to receive a card at this year's World Cup. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. Of course, we've got a couple of competitions for you, certainly ones that we know a lot of people are enjoying. Even when we get to the end of this stage and we then get into the quarterfinals, you can still join us on our World Cup Fandex competition. I'll let Adam tell you what it's all about.
Come and join PLZ Soccer on Fandex for our FIFA World Cup 2022 Stock Exchange game. It's absolutely free to play and you have the chance to win cash prizes. You can buy shares in your favourite team and watch their stock price increase or decrease based on their real-life World Cup performances against the expected points tally set by Fandex. You can buy and sell as many teams as you like, as often as you like, with winners being announced after every round. The PLZ Soccer family are waiting for you on Fandex. Head to plzsoccer.com and click on Fandex World Cup 2022.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's fairly straightforward stuff. You win some cash prizes, absolutely free to play. I hope you enjoy that. We'll give you details of a great competition we have later in the programme with Copa and Grieve Sports. Well, before we get to the World Cup, let's get to the Rangers AGM this morning. All the shareholders were heading towards the Armadillo early as well to obviously raise their concerns over certain things at Rangers. Here's the key points that they were all ready to discuss. Champions League only generated 2.9 million of extra income over the predicted revenue of 15 million. John Bennett reveals he has committed 23 million pounds to the club, including 10 million pounds of an overdraft. Adds his facility is down to 8 million now, obviously, because he has to be paid back. Stuart Robertson believes Ross Wilson is doing an outstanding job. Wilson added the club went into John Souttar signing with eyes open and says club need Scottish players. And the club have rejected bids for Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos. There is a willingness for both players to stay with the club. So that's the general points on the AGM. And of course our man Adam Binney was out there to get the overall insight into what was happening there.
Thanks, Peter. I'm outside of the SEC Armadillo. I was here this morning for the Rangers annual general meeting. Plenty of talking points from this one as shareholders had the opportunity to pose their questions to the Rangers board. The first big talking point all about the UEFA Champions League money that was earned. The Rangers board claimed that they project to earn £15 million a year from European competition, but this year they were involved in UEFA Champions League, of course. The fans thinking that this would achieve some extra revenue. They're saying that they only earned an extra £2.9 million on top of the £15 million projections. That was £17.9 million in total, which is less than what fans were expecting. There was £30 million, £40 million being banded around by the media and fans around August when Van Bronckhorst's side defeated PSV to qualify. There was also some discussion on loans owed to John Bennett. Bennett saying that he has committed £23 million to the club through loans. That includes a £10 million overdraft and purchasing of shares. The club saying that they have been partly repaid in the terms agreed. There's been a lot of question marks over the head of Rangers Director of Football Ross Wilson. He said that he's not happy with the value attached to some players from previous chairman Dave King. Had a little bit of a dig at the previous chairman, saying that there was no science behind his valuations of what was actually received for Calvin Bassey and for Nathan Patterson, the two previous record sales of players for both fullbacks. But Stuart Robertson, the club's managing director, did back Ross Wilson, saying that he's doing an outstanding job so far. Ross Wilson then backed up the signing of John Souttar, saying that not every player needs to play 60 games a season. He also defended that signing by saying he used the profit turned over from the sale of Bacuna to therefore sign John Souttar. And then finally, of course, there was plenty of questions surrounding the contracts of two-star men Alfredo Morelos and Ryan Kent. The club saying that both the club and new manager Michael Beale would like both players to stay, and that they have rejected an offer for each of them just because it was way below their valuation. There's plenty to dissect from this. Rangers fans, we really want to know what you think. Are you satisfied with what the board said? But we will be bringing you all the highlights and more information surrounding the annual general meeting across all of our social media channels this afternoon. And Peter, I want to know what you think as well. Panel, so much to dissect from this one. Let me know.
Yeah, thanks to Adam on that one. Listen, see, when you're not winning and you're behind your greatest rivals, it can become stormy. And you know, there's all sorts of different perceptions of what money was available to Rangers from qualifying for the Champions League. In the end, the one clear thing there is John Bennett had to be paid back a lot of money that he was owed, and rightly, I think a number of people have invested in Rangers that want their money back.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and the first point you made is spot on, Peter. I think fans, their attitude towards an AGM, the way they behave at it, the sort of questions they ask, you know what it's going to be like just by looking at the league table. You're absolutely right. And if Rangers had been 9 points clear of Celtic and they'd gone to the Armadillo, they could have just put on the performance of the panto that they're doing there just now with Gary Tank Command and let them all sit and enjoy themselves, because nobody would have had any hard, harsh questions. But they are 9 points behind. They have looked at this strange kind of demise on the park of guys like Kent and Morelos. There are clear concerns there. But yeah, it was always going to be based on what the position is between Rangers and Celtic in the league. That's the way fans think, and a lot of the financial side of it as well. With the best will in the world, Peter, I don't think the vast majority of fans, can only speak as a Motherwell fan, and if financial figures are being tossed about in front of us, you don't necessarily get bogged down in that as a supporter. Again, taking it out of that, if I was a Rangers fan, it would be the Kent and Morelos stuff that would take as a headline news, you know.
Well, funny you saying that, because Adam caught up with a few Rangers fans coming out of the AGM.
The current board, would you say you're pleased with the job they're doing at this time?
No. I think they are hiding behind a lot of things. I think the fans want more transparency, which you're not getting. But if they come out on a regular basis and give us information, fine. But they don't. Yes.
Dennis, what would you like to see change about the current board then?
Well, again, I think transparent. Talk to supporters. Let us know what is going on. They just seem to be hiding behind, and nothing's done, nothing's said, So, yeah, bottom line, get the fingers out, talk to us, tell us what's going on.
A lot of fans are quite surprised with in particular, the finances surrounding the UEFA Champions League. It's perhaps not as much as what people think. Why do you think that is, and why do you think it's so important that the board are so transparent with these issues like they are today?
I think like most fans, it's been a long time since we won a Champions League, as you know, so I think when we did qualify this year, there's all sorts of crazy numbers are thrown around, 30 million, 40 million, but then the reality is, the longer you're in the Champions League, if you're in there year after year, there is a multiplier that applies, which I didn't realise until I'd looked into it a few months ago. So to see a figure of more like sort of 18 million guaranteed was a bit surprising to most. But I'm glad that the board explained that today, because I think a lot of fans don't realise that it's not. That figure doesn't start at 30 and 40 million. It starts a lot lower. Obviously, if we'd won a few more games and performed a bit better, then we would have earned more money. But as we're as.
What do you make of the comments made by Ross Wilson on previous chairman Dave King?
I wonder if Dave King was in attendance today, but it's one of those things, etc. You know, like we all read the reports of how good the Champions League money was, and we've just been inside saying it wasn't as good, and we're hearing transfer reports saying we've paid this for a player, and he's saying no, we got him on a free. You know, so there will always be that is it true sort of thing, but the facts speak for itself. Ross Wilson has signed a lot of players, and a lot of them either haven't impressed on the park. You know, so.
So, a few points there that fans are disgruntled with. I think they want a better communication, first and foremost. The perception of, this huge windfall from the Champions League, clearly from Rangers' point of view, it's not up at 30 and 40 million. I'm sure a few other people would contest that, to be honest with you. He is right, though, that he highlighted in the meeting that it helps if you win games in the Champions League, which would have brought more money in. You get more money per point, Ruffy.
Yeah, you certainly do. But I think everybody had taken their eye off of, Rangers getting to the Europa Cup final. And I think they forgot that Rangers actually threw the kitchen sink at it, financially. And that kitchen sink was borrowing money off other investors. I mean, I was stunned to see that amount of money had to be handed back, but it just shows you how many big Rangers supporters were prepared to put their money into the club to get them to the Champions League. And they've got to the Champions League, but they have to be repaid. That's the way it is.
I don't think they put the money in to get to the Champions League, Ruffy. I think
to win the league.
They put the money in to stop Celtic winning 10 in a row.
Yeah, but you have to pay them back.
Yeah.
But I think everybody had taken their eye off of that, just celebrating getting to a final and all the great games and the European games, instead of saying, at the end of this, these guys have to be repaid. I'm just looking at one of the things. But there are other ones. Obviously, Morelos and Kent thing has to be addressed. But now he's saying that the two of them want to stay. That remains to be seen.
And with all due respect, Tam, you've obviously got to strike a balance. It's very easy for people to hate board members, as we know only too well in this programme. But as far as the board's concerned, Douglas Park put his money where his mouth is. A lot of people weighed in when Rangers could not get any credit whatsoever at a bank.
Yeah, absolutely. He was there front and centre, and that's always a dodgy thing when fans maybe don't know the full picture. One of the supporters there was saying that they need to be told more, there needs to be transparency, etc., etc. Then maybe somebody should just come out and lay it in a plate and say, listen, here exactly is what Douglas Park has done for your club, and maybe lay it in the line, and the fans might appreciate that. But I like the fact that one of the gentlemen there that spoke towards the end to Adam is one of these smart cookies that you would like at every club supporter who delved into the financial figures. He'd read across it, etc. It's good to have guys like that on board. I'm not a financial expert, but anything that's ever happened at Motherwell, there's always some guy that I know that I can turn to and say, what happened there with that, or what's going on with the Welsh Society, or da-da-da. But for the vast majority of supporters, Peter, and I'm sure you will agree with me, and it's a point I was trying to make earlier, I mean, even if I take it to extremes, when Motherwell went into administration in the spring of 2002, me and my pals weren't sitting there at the games at that period worrying and fretting about the balance sheets and all that. We were still only focused on what was on the park.
Yeah.
You were hoping that we had the right people, which we did at the time, to look after the club, look after the finances, to streamline the club and to get us back out of administration. And that, of course, happened. But by and large, and that's what I'm saying about the Rangers guys, they'll just be looking at the table, and that will determine how they felt at that AGM today.
Yeah.
And so we're 9 points behind Celtic. Celtic have been looking really, really good. That's what we're fretting about.
The other aspect of this as well, Ruffy, is you can only deal with the facts of when people make comments who are actually aligned to the club. And one of them, the Rangers coach Neil Banfield, says Rangers youngsters will get their chance to shine under Michael Beale. Now, from a journalistic point of view, I look at that line and I say, this is a club who's paid and started to pay off people who've been really good to the club and saved it, you know, from a perilous state, and allowed it to move forward and allowed it to win a league, and you know, and given that opportunity for a Europa League final, and then the icing on the cake, qualified for the Champions League group stages. That line tells me, listen, if you think there's going to be huge multi-million pound buys here, we're going to have to look to the kids. You know, when you say you're looking to the kids, you know, at Rangers, I've spoken to 1,000,001 Rangers managers, apart from Graham Souness, you know, who basically went in and just check-booked everything, and there was very few Scots got their chance. The rest of them, you know, will realise that when you're investing in kids, that means that there's not a lot of money there to turn things around.
Yeah, and I think the new manager's already touched on that. He's already said he's going to have to sit down and look at the surplus that's there. It'll be interesting in January, him and who he thinks is surplus and who's going to be shown the door, and that shows that you need revenue. You know, when you're starting to empty, he's saying there's maybe 12 or 14 guys we don't need here, so he needs to recoup the money. But bringing in young players, supporters love bring young players, don't you, Tam? If you see, if you're a supporter and you see a young boy come in, and it keeps everybody, oh, that young boy's doing well. That keeps all the supporters on board for a certain extent, if they do well.
Aye, for a certain extent, if they come in and do well. But if they're thrown to the Lions, I mean, if you could just imagine a scenario where the New Year derby, if Michael Beale would suddenly pluck 3 or 4 youngsters and put them in against Celtic and they get turned over, then it doesn't look quite as pretty a picture, you know. It's always nice bringing in a couple of young, when I think Alex Lowry, who I've obviously kept an eye on because he went to the same school as me in Motherwell, when I think they brought him in and he certainly scored his first goal, I think, against Stirling Albion in the League Cup, that seems like a time to bring boys like that in. But
do you know when it's a good time to bring them in? April, if you're 10 points clear, Tam.
Oh, if you're clear, aye.
Because can you imagine throwing youngsters in and saying, listen, we're up against it here, you know, we're 9 points behind, we've got to try and win every game. It's a big call. I think Michael Beale will be under an immense pressure to keep going with what he's got.
I remember that, even May or even right at the end of the season is a good time to bring them in. They can make an impact, because when Celtic, if you can recall the young guy's surname, I think he was 16, he became the youngest player to score in the top flight in Scotland, young Jack, somebody at Celtic, and they brought him in against Jack Aitchison, remember that? And I think Celtic cuffed us 6-0, maybe 6-1, and you know, when you think, imagine that, you bring a guy out like that, they had the championship in the bag by that point, you're playing in front of a full house, and you can just go out and enjoy yourself. But it's a different, I've seen it at Motherwell as well. You bring in young guys, and you know, and if results only go in your way, it'd be lovely to think that the fans don't go on the back of the young guys because they're young guys, but that doesn't happen when you're struggling, you know. And I've got an old pal at Foley St Johnstone, a guy that grew up, went to school with Cosgrove, and me and Stuart still laugh. His attitude has always been, he'll roast the young guys in the team, and he'll say that if they're old enough to take a wage, they're old enough to take abuse. So there's no half measures with it. You know what I mean? There's no half measures with him. He says they're in the team. They're doing something that all guys round about us would love to do for a living. So if they're not up to speed, get them dealt.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh, but nevertheless.
Life's harsh.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to talk to you about your top in a minute. But never.
Talk to Ruffy about his under his PLZ top. That looks familiar.
Yeah,
that looks like a wee birthday present.
Let's not talk about anything at the moment with Ruffy. It's sensitive times.
Let's not talk about.
Don't worry.
Birthdays.
If it's anything, any consolation to you, we're all behind you.
Thank you very much.
We're behind you 100%, Ruffy. Exactly. I'm going to ask you. Well, let's get to your top, because I think it's a great. I think it's a great.
It's a Stotar. I'm so proud to be wearing this today in an era when a lot of fans get fleeced. Quite frankly, with numerous replica kits coming out. This is Motherwell's third kit, and every penny from this jersey, and they're flying out the door already, is going to 4 absolutely brilliant charities. You'll be able to read them out, Peter.
Yep.
There's a wee label at the side of every.
It's Samaritans, Breathing Space, Childline, and Chris's House, which is mad.
Brilliant. So all the proceeds split between those 4 wonderful causes, and it's in the back of from the strip, and it's in the back of obviously all the great work that Motherwell has been well known for doing in the community with mental health
was the top?
awareness. £380. They're at it. I smell of that. No. It was your start. I think it was 50 quid. The reason I'm saying I bought that and I bought another couple of Christmassy items. It's good gear.
Good quality.
I couldn't get my size, but
it's good quality.
It'll stretch, aye. But no, it's good quality. I think it's nice. It's a cracking top.
Yep.
But I'm so happy to wear it because, as you know, nobody I know ever have seen me in a football top. I don't wear them. I'm not one of these guys wearing one at Torremolinos on the beach or anything like that.
Yeah.
So this is probably the first one that I've owned since the classic old, what I would call the Willie Pettigrew strip, with the big band and the big fancy MFC on the badge, you know. So it's great. I wanted to get it out there, show it to people, and urge, obviously, the Motherwell fans, but if you were thinking of getting your kid a strip this Christmas, go for the third kit, go for this replica strip, and those 4 brilliant charities will be coining it in.
Yeah, and it's a good design as well, Ruffy.
It's great. I think what we're saying is we're trying to determine which club it looked like, and Tam's nailed it to Borussia Dortmund.
Aye, wee bit, aye.
It's nice and fluorescent.
Yeah,
Lovely.
aye.
Absolutely, well done to you, Tam. A brilliant gesture by Motherwell, but then again, if you're looking for a club that just time and time again comes up with not only the right message, but they do the right thing, and their fans respond to it as well. If you're talking about communication, transparency, and taking into consideration that fans are the lifeblood of the game, then Motherwell for me are right up there. Some of the things they're doing, and that one there, that whole gesture is absolutely top drawer at a time, Ruffy, when the next 3 or 4 months a lot of people are going to feel pain.
Yeah, they certainly are. But football supporters generally come up with the goods, don't they? If they see a good cause, they're right into it, and particularly if it's the club that they've supported most of their life, they want to see them doing well.
I think I'll actually go down, Tam, and get one to give away for the competition.
A wee cousin, a wee son. I'll give it away, aye.
Yeah, it's a competition. We'll stick it on the back here
and
well.
The thing is, as well, even if you weren't a Motherwell supporter, it's quite, as you're saying, it's quite a nice top anyway.
Yeah.
It doesn't scream Motherwell, you know what I mean? So I think MD knowing that it's for 4 great causes, they might be quite happy just to wear it as well, going to the gym or whatever.
Listen,
just where I wear mine.
No problem whatsoever.
How's
Jim? How does Jim feel about you visiting him?
Dear me.
Anyway, great. Well done to Motherwell. Talking of tops, retro tops that Tam was mentioning there, when Willie Pettigrew was strutting his stuff in a Motherwell top. The World Cup's on at the moment. There are some great retro tops going about, and we've teamed up with our friends at Copa and Greaves Sports. 6 vouchers up for grabs, and Kerry has the details.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with our friends at Greaves Sports and Copa to offer you the fabulous chance to win one of these World Cup retro shirts if you enter our World Cup hat-trick competition. All you have to do is tell us who you think will win the World Cup, finish top goal scorer, and who will be declared player of the tournament. The person who gets all 3 correct will go into a draw to win one of 6 vouchers to choose their very own retro World Cup shirt from the Greaves Sports website. And if you don't get all 3 correct, then don't worry. You can still subscribe to our YouTube channel for a chance to win. To enter, simply submit your answers in the feed below, and if you want to double your chances of winning, then make sure you subscribe to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. The winner will be announced on the day of the World Cup final. Good luck.
Yeah, good competition, great one. We were in Greaves a couple of weeks ago, Ruffy, and the tops are magnificent, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, that any football supporter getting in, like Tam buying that one, if you see the World Cup and it's active and you see all the teams that are wearing them, we were actually discussing that the retro ones look nicer than the real ones.
Yeah.
The thing, which is always the case.
I'm not sure that I like the Senegal top. I thought that was good. I like the Cameroon as well. But this year they look a wee bit too corporate for me, don't they? There's not the same.
You're right. The good retro ones as well. Right away, they don't have any extraneous writing or advertising or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that always makes them look like a sort of nicer to wear. Certainly,
Yeah, the one that never loses its appeal is the Brazil one, and certainly when you watch what they do on a park for 45 minutes, Ruffy. There are games, and I wonder if you could think of one that really, and try not to think of a Motherwell one, okay? But when I was sitting there watching Brazil last night, I'm going, I can't believe, you're actually looking, going, I can't believe that goal. I mean, it gets you out of your chair, when you actually go, whoa, it's something special, isn't it?
Yeah, it's even worse when you're on the park with them.
I never thought about that, actually, Ruffy. Yeah, you're right.
They were just dynamite, you know, and a lot of the experts will say, oh, their opposition was poor, you know, they weren't defending properly, whatever. But it's just a joy to watch. You just want to see them going as far as you can, because the ability that they've got is and the celebrations are good as well. I mean, I know there was a couple of people complaining about them, but why not? You know, I thought
try
it was
not
good.
to upset Roy Keane as well, Ruffy. For God's sake, how many people are you arguing with now?
I thought, now this might, I know they're magnificent to watch. I thought defensively they were a wee bit, you know.
Well, the reason why they were a wee bit iffy is because their two centre halves were playing blinding passes through for the goals.
I know,
mean, for God's sake.
But does that not suggest that they're back to being the good traditional style Brazil team? Because their defenders were never noted for being great. Their goalkeepers. I mean, when you're kicking the ball about on the beaches, the Copacabana in Brazil, nobody's really wanting to be a goalie, are they? It's not very glamorous then. So historically, their goalies maybe looked like a weak link, but the hard bit was getting the ball up that end of the pitch, of course, you know. But no, I just thought they looked lovely. If you're asking another performance, that second half, and even Rangers fans were quietly applauding it. The second half that Liverpool put in at Ibrox, when they just really turned it on in the recent European game, that was quite astonishing. That wasn't the sort of football you'd normally have seen on that pitch, which is in Scotland. You know, you don't see sadly our domestic teams turning it on like that. But that was a joy to watch as well.
Yeah, there are some games that just get you out of your seat. You can't believe the overall play, and that certainly last night in the first half, and I thought they're just going to take their foot off the gas, and that's exactly what they did. Second half, South Korea didn't really have anything, scored an absolute belter of a goal, I have to say, but 4-1 didn't flatter Brazil in any capacity. I felt sorry for Japan though. It was 1-1 with Croatia. And I mean, you're watching the game, and Japan have been a joy in the tournament. They've been trying for time and time again to get to that quarter-final stage, and they've failed yet again. But they gave a good account of themselves, Ruffy.
Yeah, I thought they were a joy to watch. I think so far they have been one of the teams. You know, they've got great results against the bigger sides. You know, and I just think the way they play, you know, and Maeda in particular, a lot of the Celtic fans will be saying, well, that's what we get with him.
Aye.
Charging about, pressing people down, energy, and you can see, you know, I think he knows he's only going to do 60 minutes in any game, and then he's going to come off. But when you see somebody like that putting a shift in, everybody else responds to it, and I think that's what they've been like. The only criticism I had would be the penalty kicks. Goalkeepers coming off the line before the penalty. There was at least 4 of them.
Yeah.
He came off the line. There's a boy standing on the line watching the goalkeeper, and he's diving before he's actually kicked it. And you have to pull him up. You don't pull him up.
The Japan penalty.
I know they were poor, but he's still diving early. But I mean, you can't pull some goalkeepers up for diving early and not pull other ones up.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm looking at them, and no matter how many people start talking about others, I thought Brazil looked a good bet before the tournament. Now I'm thinking to myself, I don't think anybody can stop them.
It's warming up, and you know it's warming up because even as much as guys like Gary Neville were promising to state their case for the terrible human rights record in Qatar, now that's kind of been swept under the carpet now as England progress. They've got a quarter-final on Saturday night against the current world champion, so you're not hearing a lot about that, and I must say, personally, I'm kind of quite glad about that. You know, thought of it long enough now to make their point. I always thought that when the football actually started, you had to crack on with the main event. You know, but
I love the way you say there's only a finite time to make your point on humanitarian issues, and then let's move on.
Yes, aye, but you know, these we all know who the hypocrites were. You know, and they've been exposed the longer this tournament goes on, of course. You know, but you can still have your fun. I liked was it last night? Aluko, the pundit, the female pundit, you do the math. She was talking about your Brazilian man, what's his name?
Richarlison.
Right, who'd scored, he says, 19 goals in 40 games. She said, you do the math, that's like a goal a game.
Well, to be fair,
I had no idea she went to her ladies, Peter.
and she could fight. But listen, we've all listen.
No, I hate. No, I didn't like about
We've
that.
all done it.
We've all made mistakes, and see when this is what I hate. There was folk launching onto folk on social media who were having a laugh about that, and sexist, and then because the girl's black, racist, and you think, no. If it had been Paul Merson had said the exact same line,
yes,
you all have a laugh and a joke about it, and that's it, and you move on.
Yeah.
Nobody was having a go at the girl a loco. Nobody was bothered about the colour of her skin or the fact she's a female.
Yeah.
It's because she done what used to be known as a classic Coleman balls, and there used to be books full of them. I mean, God,
Listen,
get a grip.
To be fair, we've all done it, and if you want to, I think the perfect way to sum up the way society is going at the moment, and especially any loco, she won't care about that. I've done it a million times myself, and you don't. You're right, Tam. If you're in the game, whether you're male or female, and you have a blooper, you take it on the chin.
Absolutely.
The only other thing I would say is, because of the nature of society nowadays, I often try and tell people, if you want to understand the nature of society and the way it's going now, get the DVD for Life of Brian at the section where he says Jehovah.
Yes, right.
And that is exactly the best way to sum up everybody's attitude to someone who steps out of line.
One of my favourites, and again, it was Chris Boyd, and Chris Boyd laughed at ours. Chris Boyd was slaughtered. He'd a classic live on Sky Sports News, I think it was, and it was just as lockdown and everything had kicked in, COVID was rife, and all the stadiums across the country were shut, and Chris Boyd was asked about it, and he says, the fans are not going to enjoy coming along to watch closed door football. And you can see that. You can even see his face a minute. He thought,
get me out of here.
But that was great. You have a laugh about it and you move on. And some of the stuff, the self-righteous guff that I've heard on this about, how dare you have a go at that female when she's, dearie me.
Yeah. Well, remember, a lot of people can't take a joke these days.
I know.
You know who you are. Talking of which, I was actually listening, and I love listening to the pundits. We're all pundits ourselves. We love listening to people on the radio, on the TV. You get that little insight on digital as well. And Rio Ferdinand, it brings me nicely to England, because Rio Ferdinand said that this current England squad is the best he's seen in his lifetime. And at that point, Ruffy, now England are going to face France on Saturday. And
in his lifetime?
Well, this is the point. Can't ham your jets.
Lineker's, Beardsleys, Gaza.
I research these things.
Wow.
So as soon as he said it, I thought to myself, Rio, you need to have a long, hard look at yourself. So I got up this morning and I said to the boys, let's have a look. England are going to face France. Now, if they beat France, the whole place is going to go into overdrive, right? But I was looking at some of the best. Now, he's, in the last 30 years, Rio Ferdinand will have seen the teams. So here's first of all, I'm going to look at the 1990 squad. And this is the 1990 squad. Shelton, Walker, Butcher and Wright, Parker, Pearce, Platt, Gascoigne, Waddle, Beardsley and Lineker. Now,
forgot about Waddle, aye.
Now, with all due respect, Chris Waddle was top drawer. Platt's playing in Italy. That side, for me, Ruffy, would have battered this current England team.
Yeah, I would think so. I think particularly up front, I think they've got more fire. That team's got more firepower up front. I think the order line Kane a lot. I would say that the young midfield that England have got there now, in maybe 2 or 3 years, would be up there with them. But
would that young midfield be able to get the ball off Gascoigne?
Yeah, Gascoigne's wonderful.
World class.
At his peak, he was world class. He was.
Yeah.
And Harry Kane's the only one.
I don't know. Well, here we are. Maybe Rio Ferdinand has done what aim today. Here we are talking about it. Well,
it's great because here's the 1996 team.
Oh, right.
So
even better.
So give me your thoughts on this, because the 1996 team: Seaman, Adams, Southgate, Pearce, Neville, Ince, Gascoigne, McManaman, Anderton, Sheringham and Shearer. And they made the semi-finals of the Euros.
Yeah.
And the team before that I showed you made the semi-finals of the World Cup.
Yeah.
So I would suggest to you that team stands a good chance of battering them as well.
Absolutely. But, I'm just shocked, because it's not an English pundit to get a wee bit carried away during the World Cup tournament, is it? That's ridiculous from Rio.
And here's the last one, Ruffy. 2006. the England side from 2006, and I've put Ferdinand in there. He's in. Terry, James in goal, Cole, Neville, Gerrard, Lampard, Scholes, Beckham, Rooney and Owen, and that team was considered the golden generation, and I would suggest here, Ruffy, that 2006 side would also batter the current side.
I would maybe go for that 2006 team more than the other two.
No, would you?
Yeah, I would. I thought that was a super side.
I thought that was a super side as well, but it lacks.
They knocked out with Brazil in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, but I still think they're good players.
Better than the 1990 team.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
For me, it lacked a Gaza or maybe a Waddle, you know, but in terms of absolute flamboyancy. But that I'm edging towards Ruffy as well here. When you look at that man for man, that was an absolutely sensational team. You know?
Was.
I don't know where he's getting that from. I mean, surely when he uttered this, nobody with the amount of backup they've got, the amount of money they throw at these TV productions, somebody must have given him a wee nudge and says, no, we've done a bit of homework like you've done there. Yeah. Look at that, Rio.
Yeah. Well,
when did he say this?
He said it, I think it was last night.
Just last night?
Yeah.
I bet they've got a follow-up this evening. They must have.
Well, can I tell you something? Here's the England team that faced Senegal. And it's Pickford in goal.
Oh, Maguire, just stop there. You know, you think, what a ridiculous analogy.
Stones, Maguire, Shaw, Walker, Rice, Henderson, Bellingham, Saka, Kane and Foden. I'm sorry, all four teams would have defeated that team in my mind.
Yep.
Well, there's at least five or six of that team wouldn't get in any of the teams.
No.
Yeah.
No, any of the previous ones that you've put up on the board.
Aye.
Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of them would get in, but you know, I would see the majority wouldn't get in any of the teams that you've put up there.
Yeah. Listen, the other great thing about the World Cup, which I think is great when you watch it and you see all the fans celebrating, that's the thing I think we've all missed, Tam. It was great seeing the photographs of the pictures of going live to the pubs in England where when England scored, they were all going bananas. Now, I love that. I thought it was great. And if you're an England fan and you're with your pals, that's magic. You get out, you can't go to Qatar, you go to the pub and everybody's dressed up in their kits and you go bananas. We're missing that, aren't we?
And sadly, the last time we were kind of able to go bananas, dear old COVID beat us as well, because I'm guessing the David Marshall penalty save against Serbia, which of course got us to a major finals, albeit that was a bit of a damp squib, those games and reduced crowds and everything in Scotland in the day, well, but you're right, that night every pub, there was the famous pictures, Peter, as well, if you remember, a pub in Glasgow where folk, I think, had been allowed in the pub and they had masks on and they were social distancing, but then, this is taking you back to the dear old COVID times, there was a 10 o'clock curfew, so there was these great photos of the fans outside the pub.
Yeah,
that's right. Kept the tellies on, but they were outside peering through the doors and then celebrating out in the streets. It seems ridiculous now, but that's the way the world was then.
Yeah, it looks absolutely wonderful. A goal goes in and they celebrate. Well, what happens when it's no? When it all goes horribly wrong?
Well, they all slouch out of the pub and they're raging.
They just,
and the pub,
there must be a horrible
atmosphere. Well, there's a close-up of the manager saying, please go out of the pub and don't wreck it. You know?
And you know what? If all the majority of fans would celebrate, you've all seen the famous pictures now. Ironically, it's somebody taking a picture of this, but when the fans, rather than celebrating, rather than clapping, rather than hugging their pal next to them, they just bring out the phone right away and they just want a photo or a wee video of the players celebrating or running back up the party, and you think, oh, come on, be like a proper supporter again. I hate all that.
Yeah, well, listen, right now it's England against France coming up at the weekend. You're not going to be on the programme later on in the week. Give us your thoughts on it, Sam.
Right, okay, a wee bit in the same way you think Argentina and you think Messi and you think Portugal, you think Ronaldo, etc. You know, everybody's looking at Mbappe, right, who is absolute dynamite. And already now, you know for a fact that I would imagine that Gareth Southgate publicly would say, look, they're not a one-man team, and obviously they've got several superb players within their ranks. But I imagine, you know, if he's doing his job at all, he must be devising a way of trying to put the stoppers on Mbappe, you know, because that's going to be their best chance, surely. If they can keep him quiet and do the bizzo at the other end, you know, then they've got a chance. But I think it'll be tight, you know. And when you look at the recent track record of Gareth Southgate's absolutely brilliant. I saw somebody putting it, I think in fact it was our mutual friend Mr. Graham Spears, he put up a wee tweet about it, and he said if Gareth Southgate beats France, he'll be his record in recent tournaments, and it's all at semi-finals, final of course with the Euros, he's got an absolutely brilliant track record, and I think that speaks volumes for the players that are in that team. I mean, I'll tell you what, if I could get Foden in my Secret Santa for Stevie Hamill, wow, I'd take him in a flash. He's a favourite of mine. Love watching him. But I think they've got a right chance, And
your line there that you said if they can stop Mbappe, then they've got a chance to do it. Give us your prediction.
Right, I'm going. Exactly. There's no bitterness or anti-English stuff from me ever. I think it's going to finish England 1, France 0.
Right. Okay. So England 1, France 0. He did bring a smile to my face there, Ruff, because it reminded me of my great days working alongside DJ at Radio Clyde. And Rangers and Celtic. Celtic had gone on an 8-game unbeaten run against Rangers, and Martin O'Neill's side were mental. And I remember we got to this game where we're asking DJ, okay DJ, give us your opinion. We waited to the Saturday, give us your opinion, and he said, well, I've had a lot of thought about it, He says, I've thought a lot about it, he says, and this Rangers team, he says, they're showing a bit of spark about it, but he says, if they can keep Larsson quiet, he says, shackle Sutton, make sure Thompson doesn't make the runs, keep Petrov from getting to the edge of the 18-yard box, 2-1 Rangers.
Do you remember what the score was?
It was
6-2.
So
that one,
No, it was something else, but nevertheless, DJ was in top form with it. But I can't see past France.
I can't see France, but this is my summing up of why I think England have done well against average opposition.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
I'm casting my mind back to before this tournament started. In the Nations Cup qualifiers, they were in a group with 3 top teams and they get relegated.
Yes.
So I'm waiting till they come up against a right good
They
side.
haven't beaten a really good side in the World Cup from 2006 onwards. Possibly you could say Croatia, but they haven't beaten a top draw side.
Yeah, obviously, if they go and beat France 2 or 3-0, you've got to say it yourself.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And maybe they are just
By the way, if
better
they beat
better.
France 2 or 3-0, I think you better get in a bunker, because I think they'll think they can win the World Cup.
And they have been banging in the goals.
Yeah.
And as much as you're saying they've not been playing, maybe the top opposition, these are still, decent international teams who qualified for the World Cup
Well,
finals.
listen, I'll tell you even better than that. I mean, you try and keep a lid on expectation, but Bukayo Saka is actually dreaming of winning the World Cup now.
I always allow myself to dream. Obviously, having watched the tournament as well, growing up, a lot of memories. I remember South Africa 2010, the famous theme song. It's an amazing song. Just things like that, it sticks with you forever. And as a kid, you just one day feel and just wake up and after a dream thinking, I want to do this. I want to score a goal in the World Cup.
Well, fair play to him. I mean, that's what I love to hear from players. Dreaming about it. He's a normal boy like everybody else. He goes to bed and thinks, I've gone past 2 players, then I've curled down at the roof of the net and I've won the World Cup for England.
Absolutely. And
Did you ever dream of that with Motherwell?
Oh God, that was the dream. It was, and then being able to pick out your pals in the stand. The boys that are sitting with it there, where the celebration would be, and it's always okay. And you have the dreams about it, but sadly, the dreams it always tends to be you're very heavy-legged. And the ball is like a medicine ball and all that. Dreams are never where you actually do score things like that, It's always you're plodding along, maybe wearing your pyjamas,
I could get you help, Tom.
No,
it's
but
not the
that's
same
what it's
dreams
like.
I'm having, Ruffy.
It'd be great if every dream did look like that and that you played it out in your head, but no, it never works out that way. But as I say, I'm still gutted when I had my chance to fulfil that dream. It was for Calder Primary in Motherwell, and I think it was either was it the Hunter Cup? It might have been the Hunter Cup. It was one of these that they played locally, and I had been allowed into the school team. Basically, it was like a wild card thing with the headmaster at the time, and if you did well at all the other stuff at the school, he tried to get you a game in the football team. But sadly though, when we got into a final, which was to be played at Fir Park on that hallowed turf, right? But it was starting to get a wee bit serious. So the coach, the manager of the school team, I get bumped. And that night I became a squad player.
Yes.
And I was just stood in the wee enclosure bit with my school blazer and that on, the bottom lip trembling, watching everybody else getting on and winning the game and winning the cup. They didn't give me a second, lads.
Did you get a medal?
Did you not get on?
No.
No. Was it no get me on, get me on, get me on?
Tom, I feel gutted for
I
you.
still get
mate.
flashbacks to that.
Yeah.
That could have damaged me.
Yeah.
Maybe it has
My earliest
damaged me.
dream was at Partick Thistle, the 71. I was lying in my bed at night and going, please don't be 4 or 5 tomorrow.
Was that aye?
And then, because Celtic were absolutely
of course.
ruining everybody. But
How
then,
many Lisbon Lions played in that team?
It was about 7.
Seven, aye.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was about 6 or 7, roughly. I mean,
Yeah,
it was,
it just shows you what football is.
Have you seen the recently? I saw it doing the rounds that somebody has spent a lot of time and money kind of going over the footage again and making it really, really good quality. You know how you get these geniuses
Partick Thistle game?
Aye, because any time I ever saw it looked rather grainy, you know, and not the best, but I saw it recently and it looked magnificent. I'll need to dig it out for you. Aye.
That'd be great.
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Good memories.
Yeah,
Aye.
great.
Do you remember what your bonus was?
Memory.
300 quid.
300 quid.
All right.
And we go back to next, so what's
That's
that?
between us.
50.
Between us.
Seriously?
No.
It might have been 300 quid in 1971.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
lot of dough, Peter.
Anyway, yeah, it'd be good to see it in better
Oh, it'd
quality.
be brilliant.
Yeah, they could do it with the photographs. They could do it with the individual 35mm
Yeah,
on the frame. Although I
see
don't think
some,
it's 35mm.
Do you ever see some of that stuff on Twitter? I'm kind of changing the subject ever so slightly here, but there's people that keep putting up clips on Twitter and it might be footage of Paris in 1895 and it's just all the folk walking about, but it's crystal clear quality.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
And you know, they do them for London as well and all that, and these things, they give you a wee chill. You think, wow, it's incredible.
If you really want to do something like that, Tam, down at the museum down in, I don't know if it's a museum or certainly something to do with the council, in Motherwell, I've gone down there and they have old colour footage of the people walking about Motherwell in the,
is that right?
the 70s and the 80s,
Right.
filmed footage. It's absolutely fantastic.
Right.
And the old Our Lady's High School.
Just take a walk down the day, it'll look just the same.
You're going to say that.
Yeah, good stuff. You better get down to that strip on. Listen, a couple of other things I want to get your thoughts on, lads, and thanks to so many of you who have obviously offered your own thoughts on our feed on some of the things we've been talking about. Don't forget that we will be back concentrating on domestic football, and there's lots of big news coming on that on PLZ Soccer that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. We'll reveal all as we move forward and try and bring you extended coverage, more programmes, more special guests, one-to-ones. I hope you're enjoying some of our content as well. And thank you to every one of you for hitting the subscribe button and, of course, following us in great numbers, not only on the programme here, but right across our social media with all the interviews and the stories and our reporters, Kerry and Adam, going out there and doing a great job for us. And thank you to so many of you for complimenting our young journalists who've joined the team. There's a lot
You know what, they're only just in the door. Realistically, Kerry and Adam doing absolutely brilliantly, and even though they're just in the door, invited to all the birthday parties.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How did that go?
That was great, by the way.
Producer Anne, it was her birthday party.
absolutely.
It looked good. I only saw the photos of it. Was it as good as the night that I took everybody?
Yeah,
to?
well, to be fair,
Was it as good as that night?
It was as good as that night. But by the way, don't moan. You're going to the PLZ. Listen, just out of curiosity, what date's the BBC Christmas party?
The BBC Christmas party, it's a Sunday night.
Right, when?
The night after ours.
No, is it? The 11th?
I've got a heavy weekend of Christmas
By the way,
parties.
are they paying for all the drink and all the food?
No, it's a 14 quid flat fee.
Hold on
and
a
you
minute.
get
Let me just go back over that with you.
Right, what?
You're going to the BBC Christmas party.
And we're paying for it because
And
the BBC is funded by licence fee payers,
right?
So they don't chuck freebies at anybody.
Right, and you're going to the PLZ Christmas party.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm reconsidering
Will
that
you
now.
put your hand in your pocket then?
Yes,
No.
absolutely.
What are you, chocolate? It's free.
I'll buy Anne a drink for her birthday. Sure, there's no
It's a lovely present we got with the money chipped in
I
as
know, I
well.
chipped 20 quid in as well. Aye.
Well, to be fair, we got her a good present.
That's good.
Which is magnificent. So
that's good. I'm happy 50th, Anne, if you're watching.
you are a moron. Anyway, apart from that, I have to tell you, in the back, in the back.
What you like pulling my leg every time I'm on here.
There are, as well as the reporters, we've got some great people in the background.
Fabulous.
Anne, Sean, Blair, and Cheryl, who really do a grand job for us.
I think Anne's peaked. I think Anne's. I think she's in the road.
Shut up, you will you? Couple of things before we go. Alec Cochrane could be facing a ban. That's a surprise, Ruffy.
I know, it's a friendly. What jurisdiction does that come under if you're just playing in a neutral?
Well, he's had a wee kick at the boy, and then there's a full scaler, and then good old Robbie says it's the referee's fault.
I texted him, if there's ever a guy that says, Robbie, you need to get off the referee's case, right? Everything isn't always their fault, and I'm sorry, but when you're playing a friendly and there's 60 people on the park and there's a mass brawl, to say it was the ref's fault, get yourself, It was ridiculous. I took great joy texting him about that, I think he conceded that he may have been a bit hasty in blaming the poor match official.
Yeah, could get a 2-game ban for it though, Ruffy. I mean, that's the nature of these things. If the referee puts it in his report...
It's a bad tackle.
Yeah.
Was Robbie at the party?
No, he wasn't there. But he could get a ban, which is not ideal when you're coming up against Kilmarnock and Dundee United in your first games back.
No, I have to say it was worth a booking and a red card of what he was going to get. It was a terrible tackle.
Yeah, okay.
And I say as well, Peter, you were tantalising us to even be talking about the domestic football. I think that's the great thing. There's a huge positive about the World Cup being played at this time of year, right? It was hugely controversial when it was announced, but seeing that you're watching the World Cup, when we get back to what I like to call the real football, I think we'll be absolutely salivating at the prospect. I can't wait to get back to Fir Park and sit with my pals and watch what I'd call a real game, rather than all the World Cup stuff,
Yeah, I must admit,
really looking forward to it.
It's funny actually, because I did turn round to my wife and say, can you believe that
she was at the party, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was there. Can you believe that we are watching the World Cup in the middle of winter? It's freezing, and we're all sitting here watching it on the couch. It's just crazy, isn't it?
I know, but we're enjoying it. It's just players that are out there. I'm just hoping that we can learn from VAR. I think VAR's been all right, hasn't it, in this competition?
That's been another positive, Ruffy. That's pointed in. So we've been watching it, and it's the same system, give or take, a different camera or two that we have right here in Scotland. So it's allowed us to maybe experience another 3-4 weeks of VAR, but without frothing at the mouth, because we don't have a dog in the race. We've not got a Scotland there, and obviously none of our club teams are there. So maybe then, when we start back with VAR, folk will just relax a wee bit and maybe just take a second before they start roaring any abuse.
Yeah,
I think Maggie left her gloves at Anne's party.
Was Maggie there as well?
Sean says, when is
Gordon Smith there?
He was there. He was singing.
Barry.
Barry. Yeah, he was there too. Who else do we used to have on?
Leanne.
Leanne
was only there for
what a
10
laugh.
minutes.
It was a right good night out, wasn't it? Also, Sean Maxwell says, when is PLZ's AGM? Well, can't have an AGM. We're in enough trouble as it is at the moment.
We don't have an AGM.
And the board's calm at the moment at the PLZ.
Aye, absolutely.
There's
we'll discuss all matters at the night out.
Yes,
at
absolutely.
the mystery location.
What about Inverness? Ruffy going to play some kids? Because Billy Dodds, they've got 9 first-team players out, and he's contemplating playing kids in the cup tie against Hamilton. I mean, there's nothing else you can do if you get first-team players out.
Trust game.
Yeah.
Aye. Well, I hope he plays them all against us a week on Friday.
Don't bank on it, by the way.
No?
Yeah. It's a lack of assistance, Callie say, from the SPFL that's put them in this situation. Is he being a wee bit hard on that one?
No, I think Inverness in particular have been going on about the injuries they've had for the past...
It's a 340-mile trip,
yeah, 7 or 6 weeks now. He's been saying he's not had his full squad. And I think anybody's part of a football team, and if you've got 8 or 9 of your main players not playing, it's a hard shift.
I'll tell you who'll hate that news, Peter. Inverness going with a team of kids, maybe. Poor John Rankin and the Hamilton Accies fans, because that's the last thing you want. They're getting beaten every week, it seems. The fans are right on John's back, and the last thing you want, that is a no-win situation for Hamilton, getting in and playing an Inverness boys team. If they do the Bizzo and the SPFL Trust Trophy, then of course you did, you're up against boys, but see if they lose that one. carnage.
Absolutely. Okay, just before we go, what about the answer to the quiz, guys?
Right.
I put the question out there. Name the only country yet to receive a card at this year's World Cup.
I tried those lovely, polite people that are the Japanese, so I'll go Japan.
Yep.
I went Brazil.
Yep, and the answer is England.
Oh,
So, there you are. You didn't see that one coming, did you?
No.
So they haven't received a card yet, which is great credit to them. They've played some good football, and they've got to a stage now where if they can get past France,
Who's
I think
the likelihood that in the semi-final? Do you know the news?
let me see, and I'll show you the last 16 at the moment, because there it is there. Obviously, Spain, Morocco, and Portugal, Switzerland. We'll discuss them tomorrow on the show. But I think
it's Portugal.
do you think
Switzerland,
so? Yeah.
And that, maybe I'm wrong.
No, you could be right, actually, Ruff. I think it is Portugal.
Well, Peter, rather than that
Portugal or
speculation,
Switzerland.
you know what I think the more important point here perhaps is, and I hope you'll agree with me,
Yeah.
if that's England no received a single card, there was all the talk about the Harry Kane and co, after originally saying they were going to wear an armband in protest to all things Qatar, and then they get kind of conveniently dropped it, and it was, well, what if you get another card in the game you miss? There's the proof in the pudding. None of them have had an actual card, so they could have easily have taken a hit in the first game and made their stance against Qatar, but they didn't.
Yep. That's a good point, actually, but Hugh Scott says, Peter, I bet they'll get a booking at the weekend. Well, listen, if Mbappe's running one-on-one against Maguire, if I was Maguire, I'd rugby tackle the boy to stop him scoring a goal. Peter, thanks Hugh, he says it's Spain, Morocco, or Switzerland, Portugal in the semi. Ooh. So there you are. So once you get to that, if they get past France, then Spain or Morocco, Switzerland or Portugal. Yeah, so
are Switzerland the dark horse here? Are they the ones that have just come up in the quiet?
It's not going to be
under
easy.
the radar.
It's not going to be easy.
Who's their star man?
God, that's a great question.
Do they have a star? Do they have an Mbappe or Ronaldo in Switzerland? Is it all about the team?
Team side.
Well, I think does Shaqiri not play?
Shaqiri, he comes on.
He comes on. He's got a great left peg on him, so he's certainly one of the star men that can do something a wee bit special. Maybe he's getting old in the tooth now, but he's still capable of doing something special. So it'll be interesting to see. But Ronaldo, we're all talking about who's going to be in the final with Brazil. But can you imagine the final? Just before we go, can you imagine
Ronaldo
the final
versus Messi?
Can you imagine it was Argentina, Portugal?
And it can work out that way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can. Yeah. That would be dynamite, wouldn't it? That would be absolute
the ultimate.
dynamite.
Who's the greatest ever?
Yeah.
In the ultimate stage.
And you get the feeling it would be determined the outcome by one of them. You just know it, don't you? Aye.
That would be brilliant, wouldn't it?
Brilliant, aye.
To see the two of them on the park, and be interesting what their thoughts are the night before the game. When you're dreaming, how they think that would go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both of them would be thinking.
What's their track record? I know you enjoy all that, the European stuff.
Portugal of the one.
I just mean at club when they've gone head to head with their respective clubs.
Oh, that's a how. But I would suggest to you that with the Messi against Ronaldo in the Barcelona would just edge it.
What? Yeah.
And then the encounters against each other.
Right.
I think he played in a really special team.
Oh yeah.
But
that'd be great. I'd look for that. But that'd be a great final to watch.
They've only got 12 Ballon d'Ors between them.
Well, exactly. But again, when you do see Brazil last night, you'd quite fancy seeing them in the final too.
Yeah, I think they'd want to swap jerseys.
Who? Ronaldo
and Messi.
Yeah, because there's not that kind of a would-be media-led or they don't like each other.
I mean.
What do you mean?
If they played each other.
Would they swap? That'd be one of those great, I'll tell you what.
A great picture. It's like Bobby Moore and Pelé.
It'd be one of those great iconic photos that you would see 5 of them at Blantyre Social Club at the auction.
Yeah, all signed.
I'll tell you what about in terms of, I don't know if you discussed this, I saw most of the programmes last week, but did you discuss at any length about the Cammy Devlin getting Lionel Messi's jersey?
Yes, great. Yeah.
That was a brilliant clip.
Fantastic.
That's his pension. It was Messi's 1,000th professional game.
Yeah.
It was Messi's 1,000th shirt.
Yeah.
It was That's like the guy that recently sold the referee that sold the Diego Maradona ball, and then the guy in the Scotland squad, the England squad, sorry, who had Steve Hodge, who had the jersey. Honestly, Cammy Devlin, I hope somebody's alerting that, get that in a security box in his local bank and tuck it away.
Absolutely.
That'll be worth a fortune.
Yeah, people with rare strips, what do they do with them, Ruffy? It's a question for another day. Anyway, on that note, here's a man with a really good strip. And
this
a
would
really
look
good
great
cause.
at Anne's party, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would have been the berries.
It would have helped talk up the 4 brilliant charities, but if Anne doesn't do a bit for charity, that's fine.
From Tam, from myself, Peter and Ruffy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching.